It's time for Ohio State basketball. The Buckeyes are preparing for battle, and you're preparing to listen to them. Equally important, this is Fan Warmup.
The Fan Warmup Show is presented by the Ohio State University Army ROTC. Buckeyes lead the way.
Ohio State, Illinois getting ready to go over at the Shot tonight at 7:30. I am Brandon Beam. Illinois comes in tonight 7-2. Pretty impressive resume that the Fighting Illini have so far. Their only 2 losses on the season, 4 points in a neutral site game against Alabama, and then a 13-point loss against number 5 UConn. Other than that, it's been very good for the Fighting Illini. I've been very good too for the Buckeyes. Obviously had a blip on their radar a couple of weeks ago against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, but you know what? They didn't let that dwell on them, and they hung around. They came back in Evanston on Saturday at Welsh Ryan Arena and got your first Big Ten win of the season, the Buckeyes did. So it was a very good game. Brandon Knoll, the storyline from Saturday for Ohio State, career high with Ohio State, and having a fantastic outing. Here was Jake Diebler yesterday just talking about Brandon Knoll and what his week looked like in the run-up to Northwestern.
Brandon's got a lot of experience, and he's got a great approach. He's really mature, and so we had a great, really just a high-level kind of player-coach conversation. And it was, I think we both, knew what we needed to do and what he needed to be successful, and clarity was kind of the word that came out of it. We give guys a lot of freedom, especially offensively in our system. And some guys need, not necessarily more structure, but just a little more direction than others. And I think that was something that was, missing. And it took some time, to kind of figure that out to where he was able to express that, and I was able to see it. And so we talked through that, gave very specific areas we felt like he needed to be more aggressive, and kind of narrowed the scope for him a little bit. And it proved to be really beneficial. And as it got going, then it kind of opened up some more things for him. So he handled that with, again, when he came and we sat down after Pitt, it wasn't like, woe is me. It wasn't, hey, coach, it was, I think I can really help this team win. Good, because I agree. Okay, how do we do that together? And he, to his credit, unbelievable week of practice. Unbelievable week of practice, and I think he earned the right to play really well.
He did, and he did play really well. 35 minutes in that game for Brandon Knoll, 29 points, 13 of 15 from the field, right? We were all interested to see what would happen on Saturday because John Mobley Jr. and Christoph Tilley were both questionable going into the game. Now, those guys did play, but you needed someone to step up. And for Brandon Knoll to be able to do that, I think is a big credit to him. What about Jake Diebler prepping for the bigs and the size of a real, true Big Ten team tonight in the Fighting Illini?
Part of how we constructed this roster, right, is to have versatility and going against different teams. Northwestern, we went smaller. They were smaller. Felt like we could have advantage by going smaller, and it worked out well for us. This is a game where, although we had some success against them last year by being smaller at times, we're going to have to also play bigger at times. And so for us, bigger starts with, Tilly, kind of Brandon or Amari and Devin, being on the perimeter. That in general makes us bigger than we were. But yeah, we want to give a look, in practice, and we have to try to see like, okay, how does it look with Yvonne and Tilly together? But we'll see as the game unfolds.
Able to work that with those two?
Yeah, not very much. Okay. It's hard because when we go that way on one side of the ball, we're really small on the other side of the ball in practice. Right, so it's challenging, but being able to execute, offensive and defensive coverage is what we're focused on. We know we may not, when those two are together in practice, may not be going against 2 other 7-footers. We can't simulate that part, but just making sure that we're prepared to execute at a high level on both sides is the best we can do.
What Jake Diebler was talking about, going big on big, right? You can't replicate that because Illinois possesses something that maybe other than Purdue in recent years, a lot of teams in college basketball do not have. A human being that is 7'2", 7'1", and then 6'10" as well. So they are big and they are excited to get into it tonight. And the action will take place over at the Shot, and that's where we go right now.
It's time to go inside the Buckeyes with OSU basketball analyst and former captain Ron Stokes.
Check in with our great friend, Ron Stokes. Ron, always appreciate the time. Thanks for hopping on. Set the scene, right? Big Ten game number 2. It was not a great comeback from Ohio State, but the Brandon Knoll Show Saturday over at Welsh Ryan Arena. You wanted to start 1-0. They did that, and now they get an opportunity to follow it up big time against a top 20 team in Illinois this evening.
Hey, Brandon, one of the things that you're just listening to Coach Diebler, how important communication is. He had a conversation with Brandon Knoll after his game against Pitt where he didn't score a single point, and he responded. He came out, he got in rhythm, and his play in that basketball game was so instrumental in Ohio State when they needed that in a major way. And it was fun to see someone to bounce back after a tough game he had against Pittsburgh.
Now, we were talking to Dave Dickerson on the post-game show, Ron, and he said, he goes, Brandon Knoll obviously had a great week of practice, just kind of echoing what Coach Diebler said on the coach's show and his availability yesterday. And I think I was like, well, what is his best? And he was like, I don't know if it's 29 points, but if we can get that, on a night-in, night-out basis from Brandon Knoll, given the circumstances too, Ron, we didn't know the availability of Christoph Tilley coming into the game, so it was going to be a big performance, a big spot for him in his first Big Ten game regardless, and he just turned out to have one of the best games of the season.
Yeah, John Mobley Jr. was a question mark too. He was injured as well, so going in that game, both guys that missed practice and some question mark. Great timing in terms of only having one game that week, so you gave Coach Diebler and his team had a chance to heal a little bit. But anytime you go on the road, Brandon, it takes someone or a group of certain guys doing something a little special to get wins, especially in this competitive Big Ten conference.
For sure it is. Top 15 team tonight coming into the shot, Ron. Illinois, they've only lost 2 games on the season. It's against UConn. It's against Bama. They are big. They are your prototypical Big Ten team. What are you looking at from an X's and O's standpoint where maybe Ohio State has the advantage tonight over at the shot?
Well, both teams like to score, and I think Ohio State's at their best when they're transitioning, getting points. And I think they'll have a great chance of doing that here tonight. When you look at Illinois, they're big, but I think Ohio State may have an edge in the athleticism potentially in transition, so hopefully they can exploit that a little bit. Looking at Illinois, what an impressive win against Tennessee. And you look at the stat sheet and you say, man, how did they win? I mean, they were out-rebounded 46-31. And they're even in free throws, but they scored a few more field goals. They didn't turn it over as much, and what Coach Underwood has done at Illinois, one of the winningest Big Ten teams here in the last 5-6 years, and just consistently getting it done, going to the NCAA tournament 5 times. He's got it going on, and then the international piece that he's brought to the program. They are a competitive team year in and year out.
Ron, what did you like from the defensive effort from Colin White and Gabe Cupps on Saturday? Because it seemed like me every time I turned my head up to the screen to watch those two dudes, they were throwing their bodies on the ground. I mean, limbs were all over the place. They were defending, it seemed, for their lives on Saturday.
Well, when you look at Gabe Cupp, right, he's not shooting the ball well. He's not the most athletic guy. So he's going to have to earn his way on the floor by 2 things: his smarts and playing gritty defense, and he's doing that, and that's the reason why he's playing. And you're right about Colin White. I thought he came in what I call positive minutes off that bench. That is so huge. And he scored his first basket, got a steal and a dunk. Those types of motivating plays from your role players are so monumental as well, and had a big reason why Ohio State was able to get a win.
And you don't have to face Nick Martinelli either tonight, so that's a positive.
That's true.
Ron,
yeah, he's been a Buckeye killer here the last couple of years.
Ron, always appreciate it. Have a great call over at the shot. We will check in again Saturday evening, all right?
All right, Brandon, go Bucks.
There he goes, our great friend Ron Stokes with us here on the pregame show. How about one more from Jake Diebler? What about this opportunity that is presenting itself tonight over at the shot against a top 15 team led by Brad Underwood, the Fighting Illini?
Well, I think it's an early big-time opportunity, right, to go up against, Big Ten size, but also a high-level opponent. And I'm excited. I think our guys are really excited. It's great that, we got a chance for that level of opportunity at home. But, it's one game, and our focus is on this one game and being the best we can absolutely be on both sides of the ball for as long as we possibly can within those 40 minutes. And that's what we're going to continue to focus on.
Should be a fun one tonight, 7:30 over at the shot. It's a classic Big Ten game tonight. It doesn't matter by how many points you win. I think I even said it on Saturday going into Northwestern. If it's by 1, great. A win is a win, especially in conference, and especially a high Q1 team in Illinois who has their sights set on a lot here this season. Everybody have an awesome night. Paul and Ron, they'll take you through the evening. We'll be back for postgame. Buckeye Hoops is up next right here on The Fan.
You've been listening to Fan Warmup.
The Fan Warmup Show is presented by the Ohio State University Army ROTC. Buckeyes lead the way.
Stay tuned for Buckeye basketball on your flagship home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan, Ohio Sports.